Hi everyone, welcome back to our second podcast of the week. And as I mentioned in the preceding podcast, we're joined by Coach Gill from the tennis department here at BISP. We'll be seeing his thoughts on the tennis program here and tennis in general. So let's give him a nice warm welcome. Morning, Gill.
Good morning, Chloe. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Where have you come from today? The tennis department?
The tennis department this morning
Of
some meetings, but
Yeah.
now I'm here with you, so a pleasure.
Okay, great to see you. So can I start by asking, why is tennis so popular, Gill?
The tennis is very popular for a few reasons. One is you got tennis court everywhere in the world. This is one. Two, you can play all year round. So if you have indoor, outdoor court, you can play actually all year round, 12 months a year. You can also, is affordable, so it's quite cheap. You just need to buy a racket, and usually you go to public court, you can maybe pay, or sometimes is just pay a membership to join a club. Is minimal injury compared to different sport, so that's quite important. And also you can play forever. So you can play from 3 years old to 99 years old. So is benefit, and it's also a great workout. So you can play now, you come out and you quite feel exhausted. And the last thing I think is release the stress. I think if you have a bad day in office, you come back and you hit the ball, and it's release all the tension, emotion. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, there's such a variety in ways we can play as well. It's very versatile. And can you give us a little history of how you came to love tennis and started playing?
So I came back from, I was in Canada for the first 6 years, and I moved to France, in a town called Fontainebleau, and my dad was a tennis player. And I think by 7 years old, I started to play with him, and obviously getting a little bit stronger. And people used to say to my dad, I think your son should have lesson or should play the club. And my dad decided for me to have some private lesson with a coach. And I started from there and didn't stop. So from there I played tournament, played national level in France. My dad sent me to California, in San Diego, to play more professional. And obviously it didn't work as well, unfortunately. And after 2 years playing professional, I stopped and I changed my pathway, and I went to coaching. And from the coaching, I got one of my best friends used to work for Club Med, and he said to me, listen, great opportunity, good player, good places, good place to work, and try. And I apply, and obviously with my CV and my tennis abilities, they sent me to Bahamas for 6 months. So it was okay, this is not bad to work. And from there I did a season, and after I did few seasons, become head tennis coach in Club Med. I was a mentor to teach people to become coach for Club Med, and I did for 7 years. And after that, I went to Marbella in Spain, and I worked from few academy there, Puente Romano, Manolo Santana, Don Carlos, and I stayed there for 5 years. And I had my daughter born there, and my wife is British, and I think for the education, England was the best option, so I moved to England. And in England, I work in Roehampton Club, which is next to London, one of the best prestigious clubs in London. And I was coaching adults, junior, high performance. So I did for 15 years before I moved here.
Wow, amazing.
And also I worked for Nike in London. I did my tennis trip abroad with all my clients. So it was quite a good challenge for 15 years. And now I've got a new challenge here.
Yeah, so you've really been all over the place and followed quite a linear career path. Did you always have a sense that that was the right thing for you to play tennis?
Well, I wanted to be professional, so I think my first goal was that, and unfortunately didn't go that way so well. But coaching, I think, is such a good, you give your knowledge to kids or to even inspire the children to become a tennis player, I think is a great satisfaction for a coach, and for myself is the number one priority.
Is that really the foundation of your love for tennis, is helping others learn the sport?
Oh, definitely. I think is if you help people and you can see the face of the children when they're happy, when they've done a great shot, or even adults, when it's the adults and they play in the leagues and they join the clubs, you can say, okay, I did a good job. And that's why your self-satisfaction is there.
And bringing back to, you've just arrived in Phuket, what are your first impressions of the tennis scene after nearly a year being here?
Yeah, I've been nearly a year. I was surprised as how many tournaments, even during the COVID period, the player have such a place to go, and you got a lot of clubs, academy around, lot of tournament. They can play against each other. They can even travel different province, and I was surprised. And also the quality of the player. We have a quality of player. I think they're very close to European player, which is for a small country, I think is quite a fantastic achievement.
And in a more general context, bringing down to the simple basic skills, is tennis hard to learn?
I think so many people consider it is the hardest sport to learn. Why? Because is so many factors involved. For example, you got hand-eye coordination, flexibilities, agilities, speed, strengths. You also have all different shots in tennis. So you can do topspin, slice, backhand, forehand, volley, smash, overhead, and you got different surface. You got clay court, hard court, grass court, and also don't forget the one aspect is the mental game. So it's quite and I think it's been considered one of the most difficult sport to learn, which is quite amazing when people play and enjoy it.
And you mentioned it's great for physical fitness, but you mentioned also that it's great for mental strength. Would you say that the sport of tennis equally trains both physical and mental?
I think so, because first of all, it's an individual sport. So if you play 1-to-1, if you don't get the ball, if you don't get fit, you can't get that ball over the net. So you need to be extremely fit. Footwork fit, very fast footwork, that's quite important. So, and you play now tennis, it's like you went 2-3 hours in the gym. So that is like I said before, the fitness is quite a big part of the sport to get fit. And the mental side is you're on your own. It's like a chessboard. So you anticipate your shot, you think of the next shot, you take the right decision on which ball you're going to receive, which shot you're playing. So, and mentally also, you got the pressure during the point. I think the mental is a big part of the game also, especially now.
So we've talked about the mental and the physical aspects, but are there any social, emotional benefits that tennis provides?
Well, I'm going to talk about myself on the socially. For example, the tennis. Everyone play tennis in the world, and it opened a lot of social network. And I think socially you can meet people. Even if you start, for example, in a new job in a new office, people will play tennis, and I think that is quite amazing. And you don't need to speak different language. You just hit that ball over the net, and people enjoy, love. So I think socially the tennis network is amazing. And for what was your
the emotional benefits?
The emotion, I think emotion, like I mentioned before, if you have a bad day in the office, you go on court, you hit the ball hard as you can, and I think you're happy, you release all the stress, for example, that would be number one. And also if you want to meet people, I think that also is crazy, is amazing. So I think is both emotionally and socially, I think is is matching the tennis perfectly.
And for you personally, has tennis been an aid in helping you socially and emotionally in your life?
I think socially, yes, because you meet so many interesting people in the world, different activities, open the door to a lot of job opportunity also, which is good. Like for example, I work for Nike. That was via tennis lesson, so is open a lot of doors.
So bringing the focus to the BISP Tennis Academy, how has it changed since you arrived?
Well, it's been a little bit challenging because after COVID, it's been 2 years the school was closed, people was going different clubs, so it was a little bit challenging in the beginning to set up, like for example, training programs with a team. What I've tried to do is to create a new tennis program, which is going to be in new academic year in September. I'm changing the team with more qualified and more professional coaches. I'm the adults now. We open 2 adults clinics in the morning, so we have like Monday to Friday we can play. We do a lot of tournament. We're going to do UTR tournament, and we replaced RPT with GPTCA, which is a recognized organization and is all for professional coaches. So, for example, if people play on the tour and they want to practice in Thailand, they can come to the academy. They can play with our player, and I think he's opened the door. And the last thing is we're going to open to public. So I want for me I'm happy to see all the court full. So if I'm open to public, I think people they're going to play more. It's going to be a busy social tennis clubs, and I think that is going to be amazing for the club and for the school.
It will really vary it, and the levels of players there definitely.
Yeah, and like I said, the kids need the competition. So if you have more kids in the programs, they can play each other, they can compete each other, they can become friends. So I think you create an atmosphere, and again, socially, is going to be something nice for the next 5 or 10 years.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. Sounds great.
No, it's going to be a big change.
You mentioned that you work for Nike, and I've seen advertisements for the Nike camps. Could you describe a little bit about what's that?
Yes, I've been approached with Nike 10 years ago while I was in Wimbledon, and they asked me to create for international player tennis camp in UK. So I accepted, and we did for 10 years. And what we do is we rent different private school. For example, this year's is one in Bradfield, which is near Reading, near London, and one is in Brighton, in Lansing. And we rent all the facilities, the court, so the players they can play on grass court, on clay court, on the hard court, and is all international player. So to give you an idea, I think before COVID, we had 450 players coming for the period of 6 weeks, and with 83 different nationalities. So they're learning, they met people, different friends around the world. They love the sport, so they play a lot of tennis. We do seminar, about nutrition, injury prevention. They did mental preparation, and of course the trainings on course. So it's quite intense. They're doing like 5 or 6 hours a day, plus fitness, plus social activity in the evening. So it's full on, and also they do excursions. So we take them to Wimbledon. So they go to Wimbledon Museum. They go on the ground. They go in the social media, the conference press. So it's such a big experience for them, and they come back and say, "Oh wow, this is fantastic." And this year's we started again, and I think it's been very popular. I think the booking is crazy.
Yeah.
And we luckily got one of our player, May, which is a high performance player. She's going to join the experience. So she will be with me in Bradfield, and hopefully when she come back, she can say, "Wow, what is the experience to be in Nike tennis camp in the UK?"
And are there still places available if somebody wishes to sign up?
Yeah, you got some. The camp start on the 2nd of July, finish on the 15th of August. So depending of obviously the availabilities, I think you can still contact. And it's a great experience, I think, for a young player to play against different player of different country, different surface. It's coming out of your comfort zone, and I think they made friends forever. So and the coaches are highly qualified. Usually we use coaching with WTA, which is a Women Tennis Association, ATP player, and they all play on a US college, which is the level is quite high. So I think everything is fantastic for them.
And if a listener now is interested in knowing more, can they contact your email?
Yeah, they can contact me
Okay.
on my email or come to the tennis office, which is Gate 5.
So if you're interested, anybody, in these night camps that take place in England, you can go to the tennis office at near Gate 5, or you can contact Gill at Gill Lemore at bisphuket.ac.th if you'd like to know more. Now, for you, Gill, what's the most exciting thing about tennis?
Oh, there's a lot of things, but I think the number one is to see people smiling. I think it doesn't matter which age. I think is when they go on court and they laughing and they play tennis and you can see their face. I think this is like the most exciting to see people say, "Oh wow, now we did a good job."
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good like I said before, self-satisfaction when you see people laughing and smiling and just hit the ball and try to win the point. I think it's great.
It creates such an atmosphere of competition, endorphins, good feeling.
I think it's especially you can play single and double. Double is more fun.
Yeah.
So I think he's even more excited. And I think it's like I said before, it's like to see people smile and enjoy to play tennis. And like I said, it doesn't matter the age. I think it's you can play with someone who is 7 years old, again, two people who are 80, and you can still smile and laugh, which is on different sport you can't. So it's quite nice.
And when you're personally playing, is there a time when you just know that this sport is your passion and that you just really love it?
I think that when I was a player, I really love, obviously, you go to up and downs with a lot of emotion. But I think I couldn't work in the office, for example. And my office is a tennis court. So I'm quite happy to be there all the time.
We've just had the Roland Garros, and the big new number is 22. What do you think about this? Nadal has won his 22nd Grand Slam. What are your thoughts?
14 Roland Garros title.
Yeah.
To be honest, Nadal is the perfect athlete. This is a role model for people, for the young player, with his sacrifice, work ethic, commitments, and the fighting spirit he's got. And it's quite amazing. He's 36 years old and he's still in the top 10. And I think we're going to see him maybe a few years then still. So I think I think he will be the role model for the player, for the young generation.
Definitely a huge role model, because he's been around for so long, maybe 2 generations even.
I know.
How do you think these kinds of players attain such an exceptional level of playing?
Well, I think behind the scene is people don't realize the work they're doing. I think Nadal is working more in fitness than anyone else. I think the techniques, they got the techniques. They're not going to change now. I think they're working on strength, conditioning, fitness. In the gym, I think they're doing 4 or 5 hours. They're doing yoga, flexibilities. I think it's all about the body, to look after the body now. because it's not the same body when you're 20 and when you're 36, and it's quite demanding games. So you've got a lot of injuries started, and if you don't look after your body, that's why you got problem. But I think is that behind the scene is a team behind him, with him, to work on this fitness and to keep this level so high. It's quite amazing.
Nadal is like the tip of this iceberg, and below the water is this amazing support that he receives. But definitely something that sets you apart from being an amateur and a professional is the ability to cope with the pressure. And how do we manage this pressure when we're playing in, say, a match where it really counts?
Yeah, the pressure is, I think, can you work with, for your mental? You can. People can be guided mentally. So you got motivation quotes you can have. You can, it's quite difficult because some people, they're very strong and is born with strengths. But you can work on focus. There's no overthinking sometimes too much. Very clear mind. You got people help you. Tennis coaches got a lot of life coaching. For example, tennis player. Lot of life coaches to try to keep everything negative to positive, which is quite important in every situation of the game. And I think is confidence also. If you're winning, your confidence is high and the pressure is less. Obviously, you got different pressure if you're number one in the world because you want to maintain that. And people behind you say, "Oh, I'm going to beat him," but they're still working there. I think is inside is how strong you are as a person.
Definitely, it's mental strength, physical strength, emotional strength. Everything, it's a combination. Now, are there any stress management techniques that you apply to teach your students?
Well, I'm started to help them with writing down small notes in the bag. I think with a few messages, personal, what they feel. And in the bag, they got for example, don't overthink, or keep simple, or play with your strengths. For example, I will say slow down, or different words, the key words to help them, but also the breathing. They need to learn how to breathe because it's quite important when you play long hours. The breathing is help you to think. If you don't breathe, you don't have oxygen, so it's get very tight on your mind.
So having those mantras and also that breath work.
I think this is I think there's a few things they need to learn, and as a young player you don't think about it, but if you got someone who can help them now, which is going to be very beneficial for the next 2 years.
But with recent studies, we really see that this positive self-talk and the breath work really does help maintain that stress under pressure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad you're teaching this to your students. Great. So what does a typical training session look like for, say, a high-performance athlete?
Okay, our program is based on nearly 19 hours a week of tennis.
19.
So we do 3 hours of fitness in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do 3 hours of training a day. So some day they're doing working on 1 hour on core, agilities, 1 hour is strength, fitness, speed, and the rest is on the training is we work a lot with hand feeding. We do 3 different sections on the lesson. So we got the first one is hand feeding, which is a lot of muscle memory, and we control what they're doing. The second ball is a racket speed, with racket feeding, when you go behind the net and you feed the ball and they can hit the ball, and judgment, working on distance, and obviously which shot they're going to play. And the third one is rallies, so they control the tempo, the rhythm, they work the speed of the ball, the characteristic of the ball. So, and after that they do a lot of stretching, and obviously they do match play during the week. So it's quite intense programs. But they're all working so hard, and it's been pay off because we have one of the best results at the moment in Phuket.
We see it on notices.
Yeah, and people want to come here from Bangkok and come to join the academy.
That's great.
Which is the next adventure and next challenge for us, which is great.
Yeah, a challenge is always great. But in contrast to a high-performance athlete, what's your advice to a player wanting to start out playing tennis?
I think for any age, it can be adults also, and I think the one thing is to speak with someone who don't have ego. This is the one thing important, to open mind and the person to want to try to help. I think that would be the first thing. And after, I have private lesson. I think private lesson, you learn about the right technique, so you can avoid injury after. You can play easily with people. If you have a good technique, you can play with people better than you, so it's more challenging for yourself. And after that, buy equipment, which is correct equipment. Because if you go to a shop, sometimes the salesperson want to sell you a racket, and it's not the right, and obviously you can get injured, or it's not the right grip, which you can't hold your racket properly, so your swing is not right. It's just a combination. So people try to help you on the right way, and after will be the group lesson, which should be perfect. Because like I said in the previous question, is social. So you want interact with kids the same age and to have fun also. And if they can't put the ball over the net, that's a problem. So if you play the same level, it's great.
So starting out with those professional, like one-on-one
I think
lessons.
so. I think that would be to have a quick, I will say the quick process, and after I will say private and groups at the same time. I think it's quite important, because when you play with only one person, it's very intense mentally and physically. So if you're young also, if you have a little one who is 5 or 6 years old, they want interaction, they want fun. So I think if you have a group, they can be teaching properly also. So.
And again, if anybody has any questions about where to start out or what racket to get, they can contact you, right, Gill?
The office is always open to public and to people. So I'm here to help. My team also is there to help. So hopefully, I want to see all the court full.
And in such a modern age of tennis, Gill, there are a lot of changing rules in the game. Do you think that some rules in tennis should be changed, or?
I think it's the tennis rules. I think it's been for nearly 40 years now the same. I think is one rule is being changed. I think this year's is for the tournament on the 5th set. They're not going to carry on. They're going to do a championship tiebreak, and I think is the best example. I think it was in 2011. It was in Wimbledon. It was Mahut against Isner, and the match was 11 hours and 5 minutes. So it took 3 days to complete that match, and the score on the 5th set was 70-68 games. So
it's crazy.
It was amazing, and it's on the record of. It was previously some record, but I think that one, I think people realize it was incredible, and it was at the same time crazy to play, because it's 3 hours of play, high level, and in front of people, and the pressure, the emotions, and mentally it was so stressed for a player. So I think after that, this year they decided to do a tie-break on the 5th set. For the Grand Slam. I think this is the best thing. And the late call, I think when you serve and you late, I think in Thailand you play, in Europe you don't play, you play again. So I think it's the two rules are going to change. But like I said, the technology change, the court change, the surface, I think they need to follow at the same time.
Do you think the game is going to continue to change over the years?
I think it already changed. I think since I play, my generation was more net play. And after the new generation was coming from play from the baseline. Now is different variants. I think is play more with slice coming to the net. I think we're going to see a few change, but I think the tennis is still very high at the moment, which is good because people really enjoy to watch.
So for a final question today, Gill, what would be your wish to anyone listening, anyone who's not listening? What would be your advice to anyone who enjoys tennis?
I think is keep playing until you can't play. I think you will be it's just amazing to see people 90 years old and play, and that show me it doesn't matter how good or bad, you still want to play and enjoy, and it doesn't matter the weather, you can play in the rain. It's just to see people smiling again and laughing on court, and is what I want. I want to see people enjoy their time, long or short period, and with injury or no injury, but to be on court every time.
So that key word is play and enjoy.
Definitely, right. I think is the two keys.
Thank you.
You're
Message
welcome.
Received.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time today,
Thank
Gill.
you, Chloe.
Really enjoyed the chat. It's great, a lot of variety. And thank you to everyone who listened and tuned in today. We found out that there is copious amounts of opportunity for tennis here at BISP, with adults in the morning and at different levels all throughout the tennis academy, from beginners to high performance athletes. And we also learnt that a great coping mechanism with pressure in tennis is that mantra, that positive self-talk, and also the breathing, remembering our breath in those tense moments. And the key takeaway for life and for tennis is to play and enjoy. Hope to see you on the court, everyone. Bye for now.